The bus stop outside the Ritz-Carlton was exactly 3 blocks from where my father's 65th birthday celebration was being held. I adjusted my simple blue suit, Brunello Cucinelli, though they'd never recognized that, and watched another luxury car pull up to the valet. "Oh my God, did you actually take the bus here?" My sister Rachel's voice dripped with a mixture of horror and amusement as she stepped out of her Mercedes. "Emma, look, David's still living the peasant life." I suppressed a smile, thinking about the private jet I'd landed an hour ago, the one that had just returned from closing a $2.1 billion deal in Singapore. But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. "Hello, Rachel," I said quietly, watching her straighten her Gucci dress. "Emma, happy birthday, Dad." My father, William Harrison, barely acknowledged me as he handed his keys to the valet. "At least you showed up this time, though you could have made an effort with your appearance." If he only knew this simple suit cost more than his car. But that was the beauty of true wealth. It doesn't need to announce itself. "Still working at that little tech company?" Emma, my other sister, asked with false concern. "What was it called again?" "Something about clouds." "Cirrus Technologies," I replied, following them into the hotel. The company I'd started in my garage 5 years ago, now worth more than the entire Harrison family fortune combined. The ballroom was exactly what you'd expect: crystal chandeliers, premium champagne, and Silicon Valley's elite pretending they weren't all checking their phone for the breaking news I knew was coming in exactly 42 minutes. "David," my stepmother Margaret's voice cut through the crowd. "We put you at table 12. With the other guests." By other guests, she meant the staff's children and distant relatives nobody wanted to acknowledge. Perfect. I'd have a front row seat for what was about to happen. "Of course," I murmured, making my way to the back of the room. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the San Francisco skyline, including the building that housed Cirrus Technologies' headquarters, though the Harrison family had no idea that the mysterious tech company making headlines was run by their poor relative. "Hey, busboy," Rachel called out. "Wanting to loan you some money for an Uber home? I know public transportation can be so tedious." If she only knew about my car collection, or the fact that I owned the parking garage where she'd just parked a Mercedes. My phone buzzed silently. A message from my CFO, final paperwork signed. Forbes going live in 40 minutes. At the main table, my father was holding court, accepting congratulations for Harrison Investments' latest acquisition, a small tech startup they thought would give them entry into the cloud computing market. What they didn't know was that the startup was one of my shell companies, designed to give me inside access to their operations. David's still playing with computers, I heard Emma tell a group of guests. You know how some people never quite figure out the real business world? I checked my watch. 38 minutes until they learned what playing with computers really meant. Until they discovered that the mysterious tech founder everyone was trying to identify, the one who'd revolutionized cloud computing and artificial intelligence, was sitting at the reject table at his own father's birthday party. The irony wasn't lost on me. "More champagne, sir." A waiter approached my table. He was actually my chief of operations, Alex Chun, playing his part in tonight's revelation perfectly. "Thank you," I said, accepting the glass. "Everything ready?" He nodded subtly. "CNN is preparing to break the story. Forbes has the exclusive on your net worth. Times Square billboard goes live at exactly 9 p.m. And the Harrison Investments situation? Their entire cloud division now relies on our infrastructure. They just don't know it yet." I smiled, watching my family bask in their imagined success. In 35 minutes, they'd learned that the son they mocked for taking the bus had been quietly building an empire that would make their fortune look like pocket change. Sometimes the best disguise is the one others create for you themselves. "Ladies and gentlemen," my father's voice boomed through the ballroom sound system. "In 30 minutes, Harrison Investments will make an announcement that will reshape the tech industry forever." I sipped my champagne quietly, watching the theater unfold. Rachel was already recording the moment for her social media followers, while Emma adjusted her designer dress for the photographers. "Can you believe David's still in tech support, or whatever?" Rachel stage whispered to a group of guests. "While we're here making million-dollar deals, he's probably fixing printers." If she only knew that Cirrus Technologies' quantum computing division had just revolutionized data processing, or that our AI systems were now powering half of Silicon Valley's biggest companies. My phone buzzed again, a message from my legal team. SEC filings complete. Media embargo lifts in 28 minutes. And now, my father continued, I'd like to address the rumors about Harrison Investments' latest acquisition. Yes, we're entering the cloud computing market in a big way. The crowd applauded politely. On the screens around the ballroom, CNBC was already running teasers about a major tech announcement coming at 9 p.m. They just didn't know which announcement would actually make headlines. David, Emma called out mockingly. Pay attention. You might learn something about real business. Alex appeared again, still in his waiter's disguise. Sir, Microsoft just called. They want to increase their cloud services contract to $5 billion annually. Tell them we'll discuss it next week, I murmured. After tonight's revelation. At the main table, Margaret was showing off her new diamond necklace. William bought it to celebrate the cloud acquisition. Only $2 million, a small token really. I thought about the quantum computing patents in my portfolio, each worth more than their entire jewelry collection. Success doesn't need to sparkle to have value. 20 minutes until the announcement. Rachel practically squealed. Daddy's going to show everyone why Harrison is the biggest name in tech. Oh, the irony. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Forbes. Final fact check complete. Story goes live in 18 minutes. Estimated net worth confirmed at $8.5 billion. Through the windows, I could see Times Square on the massive screens that lined the ballroom. Soon those screens would tell a very different story about success in the Harrison family. I hear David's company might be looking for investors, Emma told a group of financiers, loud enough for me to hear. Though I wouldn't waste your time. He probably just needs money for bus fare. The financiers laughed politely, not realizing they were already using Cirrus Technologies systems for their daily operations. Amazing what people reveal when they think they're talking to someone beneath them. Son, my father approached my table, his voice dripping with condescension. Perhaps it's time you came back to Harrison Investments. We might have an entry-level position in IT. I looked up at him calmly. Actually, Dad, I'm quite happy where I am. Still stubborn, he sighed. Well, don't say I didn't try to help. Some people just aren't meant for real success. The CNBC reporter in the corner was getting ready for a live broadcast. She'd been promised exclusive coverage of Harrison Investments' cloud computing announcement. Instead, she was about to break the biggest tech story of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel grabbed the microphone, champagne sloshing in her glass. In just a few minutes, Harrison Investments will announce our acquisition of Cloud Tech Solutions. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Cloud Tech Solutions was actually one of my shell companies, designed specifically to give Harrison Investments a false sense of security. Alex appeared one last time. Sir, everything's in place. CNN is standing by. Times Square billboards are ready. I nodded, standing slowly. Around the room, phones were already starting to buzz as early alerts went out to tech industry insiders. What's going on? Emma frowned at her phone. There's some alert about a major tech revelation. Breaking news, the CNBC reporter suddenly announced, pressing her earpiece. We're receiving information about an unprecedented development in the tech industry. The Times Square screens visible through the windows began to change, showing a familiar logo, my logo. The one they'd seen 100 times, but never connected to their poor relative. Ladies and gentlemen, the reporter's voice cut through the growing murmurs. We're about to reveal the identity of tech's most mysterious billionaire. My father frowned, looking from the screens to the reporter. This isn't our announcement. What's happening? The clock struck 9 p.m. I stood up, straightening my simple suit, and walked to the center of the room. Behind me, every screen in Times Square lit up with my face. Not the casual image they knew, but my official Cirrus Technologies CEO portrait. Actually, Dad, I said quietly as the room fell silent, I believe this is my announcement. The silence in the ballroom was deafening as my face appeared on every screen, accompanied by headlines that made the Harrison family's fortune look like pocket change. Breaking news. Cirrus Technologies founder revealed David Harrison's net worth hits $8.5 billion. Tech's mystery billionaire unmasked at father's birthday party. Quantum computing revolutionary is family's poor relative. Rachel's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Emma's perfectly maintained facade cracked as she stared at her phone, frantically scrolling through the breaking news. "Impossible," my father whispered, his face ashen. You just play with computers." I smiled slightly, pulling out my phone and projecting Cirrus Technologies' portfolio onto the ballroom screens. "Actually, Dad, I revolutionized quantum computing. Those little cloud projects you mocked? They now power 60% of global internet traffic." The CNBC reporter had recovered her professional composure. "Mr. Harrison, your quantum computing breakthrough has been called the biggest technological advance since the internet. Would you care to comment?" "Of course," I replied calmly. "But first, I believe my sister Rachel had some concerns about my transportation choices." Rachel's face had turned an interesting shade of white. "David, I didn't mean the bus stop outside," I continued. "I own it, along with the entire public transportation system's AI infrastructure. And that parking garage where you left your Mercedes? That's mine too. Actually, the whole building is." Margaret stumbled forward, her new diamond necklace suddenly looking very modest. "But you never said anything, never showed any signs of wealth." "Because real success doesn't need to show off," I said, accepting a tablet from Alex, who had finally dropped his waiter's disguise. "Speaking of wealth, let's discuss Harrison Investments' cloud computing division." My father's eyes narrowed. "What about it?" "Cloud Tech Solutions, the company you're about to announce acquiring? It's one of my shell corporations. Actually, most of your cloud infrastructure is running on Cirrus Technology systems. You've been working for me for months. You just didn't know it." The screens showed the complex web of companies and technologies that made up my empire. Quantum computing patents worth billions. AI systems transforming industries. Clean energy technologies that were making fossil fuels obsolete. Current market capitalization of Cirrus Technologies, $42 billion, Alex announced, making it the fastest-growing tech company in history. Emma found her voice, though it trembled. But you take the bus. "I'll also take my private jet," I replied. "The one I used this morning to close a $2.1 billion deal in Singapore." Sometimes the best way to build something extraordinary is to let others underestimate you. The Forbes article was now live, detailing how I'd built Cirrus Technologies from a garage startup into a global tech powerhouse. How I'd revolutionized cloud computing while my family thought I was working in IT support. "Mr. Harrison," the reporter pressed, "your quantum encryption breakthrough has military contracts worth billions. Yet you let your family think you were struggling." "Success isn't about impressing others," I said, watching my father's face as he read the scrolling headlines. "It's about building something meaningful while others are busy showing off." My phone buzzed, a message from Elon Musk. "Finally, been wondering when you go public. Mars Colony project still on?" "Sir," Alex interjected, "the Pentagon is calling about the quantum defense grid, and Google wants to increase their AI partnership to $10 billion. Rachel grabbed her husband's arm. $10 billion? That's more than Harrison Investments is worth. Actually, I corrected her, Harrison Investments' entire market cap is about equal to what Cirrus Technologies generates in monthly revenue. Speaking of which, I nodded to Alex, who began distributing tablets to the shocked executives around the room. "You'll find some interesting documents there," I continued. Cirrus Technologies now owns a controlling interest in Harrison Investments. Those cloud computing contracts you signed, the fine print gave us voting rights. My father collapsed into his chair. You took over my company?" "No, Dad. I saved it. Your outdated infrastructure and resistance to innovation were driving it into the ground. Now, as a subsidiary of Cirrus Technologies, it might actually have a future." The screen showed real-time stock reactions. Harrison Investments shares were soaring just on the news of its connection to Cirrus Technologies. Tomorrow morning, I addressed the room. Every Harrison Investment employee will receive new stock options and improved benefits. Unlike some people, I believe success should lift everyone up. Margaret stepped forward, her social climber instincts kicking in. Darling, we should have a family dinner soon. Catch up properly. Actually, I smiled. I have a board meeting in Tokyo tomorrow. Then a quantum computing demonstration at MIT. But I'm sure Rachel can give you a ride home in her Mercedes, at least until the lease runs out. Emma's husband, a venture capitalist, tried his luck. David, perhaps we could discuss some investment opportunities, like the tech startups you rejected when I pitched them 5 years ago. I raised an eyebrow. Amazing how money changes people's perspective. The Times Square billboards were now showing Cirrus Technologies' global impact. Renewable energy grids powering entire cities, quantum computers solving climate change models, AI systems transforming healthcare. But why? My father finally asked. Why hide your success? Why let us think you were failing? I walked to the window, looking out at the city where I'd built my empire in secret. Because you taught me an important lesson, Dad. You showed me that people reveal their true nature when they think they're talking to someone beneath them. Every insult, every mockery, every condescending remark helped me understand what kind of leader I didn't want to be. Rachel made one last attempt. We're still family. Yes, we are, I agreed. Which is why I'm not firing everyone at Harrison Investments. Consider it my birthday gift to Dad, saving his legacy while building something far beyond what he imagined. My phone buzzed again. Excuse me, I said, checking the message. NASA needs an answer about the quantum navigation system for their Mars mission. As I walked toward the exit, I stopped by my father's chair. Happy birthday, Dad. Thanks for teaching me that success isn't about what you show others. It's about what you build while they're not looking. The CNBC reporter followed me. Mr. Harrison, one final question. What's next for Cirrus Technologies? I smiled, thinking about the technologies we were developing that would make tonight's revelations seem small in comparison. The future isn't in impressing others with what you own. It's in creating things that change the world. And sometimes the best way to do that is from the back of a bus, watching while others race to prove their worth. As my helicopter lifted off from the hotel's rooftop, I looked down at the ballroom where my family was still trying to process the evening's revelations. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is building the loudest future. Sometimes the one they call poor is quietly revolutionizing the world. And as for taking the bus, I think I'll keep doing it occasionally. After all, some of the best ideas come when you're willing to stay humble while building something extraordinary.